So I got the LT1 Mazda in here. Haven't done the air cleaner yet. I've driven it a few times without it. I got to come up with an idea on what I'm going to do. I have some old plastic pieces and the original air cleaner out of the Caprice with nowhere to put it over here. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to relocate the battery to the passenger side front. All right, so I got looking at this. I moved the water bottle out of the way to see how much room I had here. I had this battery tray out of a Chevy truck sitting upstairs. I could probably cut this off and make it fit a group 78 down in here, but I think instead what I did was I took angle iron and I welded together this frame, and I'm gonna set this frame down in here, and instead of running a group 78, I have a group 65 battery that this should fit directly in there, just like that, and I'll be able to securely weld this underneath the hood, and it'll be really easy to wrap a strap around it and have it all tied down. So that's going to be my battery relocation tray, and we're going to put that right over here on this side. That way I can get the air cleaner over there. Well, to help give me a little extra room, I went ahead and I removed that section of the inner fender out of here, and with that bump taken out, it'll allow this to drop in and sit much flatter and recess down into there where it doesn't actually affect the wheel well at all. I'll be able to weld it solid like that. So, should work really well. All right, so seems to be working here. I got this section cut out, welded into place. It's actually really sturdy in there. What I'm gonna do is take this thick strap of steel and I'm gonna mount it like that to catch the corner. That way all the weight is distributed between the edge of the inner fender here and the actual radiator support, rather than allowing the inner fender to flex. So I actually had reinforced this battery tray already because I had to cut and modify the radiator support on this side. So even though I already did it over there, we're gonna move the battery over here. And so it's gonna sit something like that when I get it done. Should work out really good. All right, that should work pretty good. Couple little shitty welds, holding her in tight. Ain't going anywhere. I am gonna, just because when I do push up and down back here, you probably can't see it on the camera, I do see this squeezing a little bit here because I cut this section out, so I am gonna extend a piece right here just to give this strength back to the inner fender, because it does move a little bit. So, but other than that, I think it'll be perfect. All right, yeah, I just took a small chunk of junk steel, threw it in there. It's way stiffer now. We're gonna go ahead and get the battery in there so we can get the cables measured. All right, well, I got the battery sitting in there. I put the negative, like I turned the battery around so the negative was close to the corner. It's got tons of clearance. It's not gonna hit, but if it did, it wouldn't matter anyway. It's like right in this area, and there's probably right in here, there's probably a finger's width in between the top of this terminal and that portion of the hood where it's insulated anyway. And then the positives here, which gives me at least an inch. So, kind of gonna make this simple. This was my main fuse block wire, which runs directly into the fuse block. This wire, which runs through this 175 amp fuse, is actually my alternator wire. So I'm just gonna eliminate this completely and then string a heavy gauge wire from the back of the alternator to the positive battery, and the entire system will be wired again. And then I'm gonna move my positive battery cable, obviously over here, and find a new place to put the ground. Should be simple enough. All right, so I got it up in the air here. What I'm gonna do here is, this was the original positive battery cable that I had running across. It's now gonna be much shorter and ran up to the battery on this side because the starter is obviously on this side. All right, so I pulled my cables here. The ground looks like I'm gonna save, about 15 inches and about 18 inches off the positive. I thought I'd actually get a little bit more, switching it from over there to over here, but it's quite a bit. All right, so here's my attempt at cruise control. I believe the Ford cruise control will still work because my speedometer works. So what I'm gonna do is I cut the end off of this, which I'm gonna replace with the Chevy one. And then I took and cut the cable off the Chevy, obviously, and put the adapter in here for my bracket. So I gotta figure out how to get this cable connected to this piece, connected to this piece, and I should have cruise control working. If not, I just ruined the cable to my GM one that I could wire in. And so I'll have to get a new cable if this doesn't work, but pretty confident the Ford one's gonna work. Like I said, the speedometer works, it turns on when I hit the switch. I just don't have any way to connect it to the throttle body yet, so fingers crossed on this one. All right, so I took the tubing cutter and I cut the old adjustable piece off of the Ford and exposed these cables. Where's my other piece at? In my pocket. So then this piece, I'm gonna have to see if I can get that cable to fit in there. And if the length's right, I might have to actually shorten this one up to about there, but it should work. All right, so I went scrounging through some old parts I had laying around, and I found this 3.5 inch aluminum vibrant elbow that was for a different car from a while ago. I ended up cutting it in half to make 245s, and I'm gonna have the air filter sit back here. I'm gonna support it, maybe even wall it off so it gets cold air away from the radiator. I took the ECM out of its plastic housing that came out of the Caprice, and I'm gonna mount it right into the battery tray. It actually fits like perfect. I'm gonna trim the metal here just so the wires don't get chafed. I took the battery tray and I ran hose clamps around it to lock the computer in. Can't move an inch. I reinforced the harness here with a little extra conduit and taped it up really good so that way it can't rub on any of the metal pieces. I took a little bracket here which holds this pipe that I had laying around that I took out of a, what was it for? I think it came off my 96 Buick Riviera supercharger that I got rid of a long time ago, and had a K&N cone filter laying around, a couple silicone tubes, the original elbow. Hopefully the air cleaner system's perfect now. Yeah, batteries all mounted in. Next thing is gonna be power steering needs to be taken care of yet. The cruise control, I'm pretty sure I have the parts to make this work now, but I gotta move it a little closer because the cable I don't think's long enough, and I don't want it to pull on it. So I am gonna relocate that, maybe just make a bracket and stick it out to here or something and gain me a couple inches. But all in all, it's starting to come together. Hopefully this all works the way I hope it does, and the engine stays cool, and this should be a fun little truck. Okay, so I ran into a snag with my throttle, or my cruise control cable being too short. So what I did was I cut the tab off the bracket, and I'm gonna extend it out with this piece of metal. And it'll give me a full 2 inches more on the cable, and it should be perfect length. So I'm gonna weld this together and make it work. And here's the bracket welded on, which will now mount and give me plenty of room on that cable. Awesome. All right, this is what I'm gonna do for my space-saving catch can for my radiator. I got some PCV tubing that, when this is all put together, should give me about 0.35 of a gallon of space. But I'm gonna mount it right next to the radiator here, put a cap on the top, have it come down with this on the bottom, and then it's gonna splice out into the hose like that. So if the expansion comes out of the radiator, it'll go into the bottom of this, fill this tube up, which I'll have a vented cap on, and then as it cools off, it'll suck the coolant back into the radiator like it's supposed to. So I had most of the stuff laying around, so I figured this is the cheapest option I have, and I really don't have any room left for it. I could have put something right over top of the computer over here, but I figure there's no sense putting water right on top of the computer on purpose. And I might build some kind of an air dam to kind of keep the hot air from the radiator off the intake. And so I didn't want to have anything in the way here. So this is what I came up with. It should work good. I'm going to get it glued together. Hit it with some spray paint so it looks less like PCV pipe and more like a catch can, and it should work good. All right, what I'm going to use to disguise it is camouflage spray paint, because why not? I have it. We'll see what it looks like. All right, this is how it should work. I should hold 0.35 of a gallon, so over a quart. I don't know where the fill's gonna end up being, but with it cold, I got just enough in the bottom, so that way there shouldn't be an air pocket in the hose once it finally gets heated up. I might paint the cap just to make it blend in. Otherwise, I don't think the cap looks too bad. I did drill a vent hole in it. That way, as pressure fills it up, it doesn't get pressurized in here. So the camouflage kind of worked. I mean, you can definitely see a tube sticking down there, but it's painted brown, and from here it doesn't look horrible. It does kind of stick out below the frame there, but it's a Mazda. Definitely not a show vehicle. Should be pretty fun though. So after taking it out on the highway, the cruise control works great. Does exactly what it's supposed to do. Catch can's working perfectly. The coolant level goes up, drops down, seems great. So the only thing left at this point is making it have a posi, because right now it's a one-wheel tire fire and it just smokes one tire at a time, and that's less fun than spinning around with posi. We're also going to put line locks in it, so that's what's coming up in the next video. Thanks for watching.